Hello, and welcome to Awaken, where we share insights to the connection between science and spirituality for self discovery, joy, and freedom. I am your host and spiritual coach, Stephanie Rouch, and I am so pleased to be here today with Dr. Emmett Miller. Dr. Miller is the acclaimed father of mind body medicine and guided imagery. He originated the use of meditation and guided imagery for healing and published the first guided imagery meditations as cassettes in 1970. And his library of CDs and MP3s, as well as his professional guidance, have continued to define the state of the art since. He currently practices individual and couples therapy, hypnotherapy, and life coaching at his California office, as well as globally via Zoom. He offers free webinars and audio and video products at drmiller.com. So Dr. Miller, thank you so much for being part of Awaken. I'm so pleased that you're here. Can you tell us what drew you to the field of mind-body medicine?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Stephanie, as I've been looking forward to our conversation. Well, yeah, I'm going to start a little bit early because it was when I started to realize that, the saying, well, there's one saying that is in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Mm.
And however, there was a Hungarian saying in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man gets crucified. And so I found myself being the one-eyed man. I think it started before, when I was really early. I guess I always had the feeling that adults acted like they knew what was going on, but I didn't agree with them. And if I told them I didn't agree with them, they told me to mind my own business. Children should be seen and not heard. And who do you think you are? Oh, Mr. Wise Guy, and blah, blah, blah. Then when I was in the fifth grade, I read a book called Five Chimneys by Olga Lengel. Wonderful book. She's a physician who was captured and interned in the Nazi prison camps. And she was there for about 2 years. When she came out, she wrote this book of what she saw. Horrendous. I read this book for a book report. And I started going around and asking people, do you know about this? Do you know what happened?
Mm.
Oh, yeah, but that was Hitler. We put him away. Everything's fine now. And no. I said, this is a person who figured out how to use, modern industrial strength genocide with the tools they had back in 1939. Well, here we are. This was in 1952, and we have much more dangerous weapons now. And what about in the future years? There's something wrong that this can even exist, and nobody wants to talk about it. So I said, okay, if nobody wants to do something about it, that's one of the things I think I'll do along the way, is to solve this problem. And had a lot of confidence in myself.
Mhm.
And so from that point on, I was alerted. And I had seen religions and so forth, but I saw there were all these different kinds of religions. And every religion had their own set of beliefs and their own gods and their own statues and their own stories. But they didn't agree with each other. And yet this is supposed to be the most profound truth, is spirituality at the highest level. I had this image of 300 masters of different religions sitting around in a big circle and all arguing with each other, and every one of them maintaining that his religion or her religion was the right one and everybody else was wrong. My Catholic friends were being told that if they even set foot in a Protestant church, they would go to hell.
Mhm.
Uh, and there's even a little story about a Catholic teacher who was teaching in school, and she had a class, and she said, let's talk about what you want to be when you grow up. How about you, Helen? What do you want to be? She says, oh, I want to be a nurse. And the nun said, that's wonderful. You get to heal people. Then who else? Well, Tommy. Tommy said, I want to be a fireman. Oh, that's wonderful, Tommy. You can put out fires and yeah, you'll do so many good things. And says, and what about you, Sally? She says, I want to be a prostitute. Says, you want to be a what? He said, a prostitute. And the nun says, oh, I thought you said Protestant. So it was, I mean, yeah, it's kind
Oh
of like,
no.
what is this all about? You know? And I studied the different religions and so forth. And when I finally got into medicine, I noticed that people who had strong religious beliefs could heal much more quickly, much more fully than people who weren't. This is after I had begun my early practice of mind body medicine. And um, so, uh, so it said to me, well, there's some strength in religions, but I don't know that anybody really knows what's going on. And how I got into what I had noticed into mind body medicine, I noticed it while I was in medical school. Now, before I went to medical school, I studied mathematics and physics and the sciences because that was the truth. I wanted to find the truth because, I mean, again, the whole world's lying. I wanted the truth, and science is organized truth.
Yeah.
Mathematics gives you the underlying logic so that you can understand the truth of different systems if you're working in, let's say, Euclidean geometry or Riemannian geometry or Lobachevskian geometry. There's a whole different logic that you use in these different frames. I figured, well, that'll help me. I went to school so I could learn how these things apply. I went to medical school to learn how human beings are built, how they get sick, how they heal, and how the mind works, how the beliefs work. And I mean, it was fun being able to save lives and do things like that. But, by the time I got out of medical school, I had noticed that how I treated people often had a bigger effect than the drugs that I used on people.
Mm.
And that if a person had injured their knee, okay, so I'll tell you, put ice on it and take this medication for the pain and be careful how you walk, etc. But if I examined them and I placed my hand on their knee, and as I spoke to them, as I thought in my mind, I really want this knee to get well.
Mm.
And I spoke to that person as if I cared about their knee got better much more rapidly. So I was very, very curious about this. I'd also studied this as part of my mathematics programming. So I was programming computers in the early 1960s, or at least using the programs that we had, Fortran 4 and COBOL, things like that. So I understood computers, which very few doctors did. And I began to realize that what I was seeing was that there is an unconscious part of the mind that was causing things to happen
Mm.
to people. And depending on how they dealt with various situations, they would get sick or they would get well. And that somehow how we thought and felt was the key. But how could we get into that part of the mind to make a change? And then I came up with a theory as if that unconscious part of the mind, well, it was clear it operated very much like a computer, and that the things that we learn during our lives, uh, Protestants are bad. Sugar is good for you. Whatever we learn, um, all men are alcoholics and evil. Whatever we learn at whatever point in our lives, there's a set of beliefs that are unconscious to us, but they interpret everything before it gets to the conscious mind. And that's what we react on. Like everybody knows that the two lines with the arrows going out and the arrows pointing in. Which one is longer? There's one that really looks longer than the other, but if you take a ruler and measure them, they're the same. And that's because the unconscious part of your mind processes everything, and you get to see 5% of what's there. The rest of it is your beliefs that are coming from the algorithms in your mind that are telling you how, what what's allowed through. And so now we have, for instance, the polarity that's in our culture. And if you are on this side, you're sure you're right, and all those people are idiots and they're wrong, and they believe the same thing. And yet, when I go and talk to people on both sides, there's completely intelligent and educated people on both sides. How can that be? And it's very clear what's going on is they're not thinking clearly because they're not getting all the information because information's being blocked by the unconscious part of the mind. Well, how are we going to deal with that? And then one day in 1969, I believe it was, a doctor introduced me to medical hypnosis,
Mm.
which I had not ever even heard of. I'd gone all the way through one of the best schools in the country, Albert Einstein. Nobody taught me about it. And back in 1955, the AMA had studied hypnotherapy and recommended that every physician should have 50 hours of training in it. It was legitimate, it was science, and it was real. And I said, well, show me what it is. And I sat down on his sofa and he started talking to me very slow and peacefully like that. And I closed my eyes, and about 3 or 4 minutes went by, and I felt myself go into this completely other state of consciousness.
Mm.
And I thought, this is what I've been looking for.
Mm.
And I started laughing. And
Mhm.
I laughed for 5 minutes. It was like I got the joke. I
Mhm.
got it. I could see why we had Hitler. I could see why these people were being alcoholics and breaking up with their wives and abusing their children and I mean, it was all doing. It was clear and how to get there. So I became an expert in hypnosis um, and once again found out that most people who practice hypnosis do not understand what hypnosis is because they're only looking at the very superficial aspect of things and not looking deeply into it. Whereas I could see that the same process of what you're doing is you're introducing a state of mind in which a person is in the present.
Mm.
They, in effect, depotentiate all of the algorithms that have been influencing their thinking. Their mind is open to thinking about things in a different way.
Mhm.
And so I can have a person who has this problem of drinking, alcoholism, they hate it, they hate themselves for it, get them into that very relaxed state and say, how would your life be different if you didn't drink? And make a picture of that in your mind. Use your imagination and visualize what it is that you want to achieve. And then you inhabit that image.
Mm.
And then things begin to change. And that person will change, their habits will change for a week or 2 or 3, whatever it is, headaches, migraine headaches, or high blood pressure, whatever it is. Remarkable changes take place, but then they slip back.
Mm.
So what I started doing, well, the most wonderful thing happened. Someone invented the cassette recorder. And so what I would do was record the induction and imagery experience that I did for people in my office, and would then have them listen 2 or 3 times a day to once again re-enter that receptive state and once again reimagine and take them. Because what we're doing is we're training a brain, and you don't change it like that. You can change a computer like that, but that's not how it works here. So
Mhm.
what you have to do is first desensitize the old fears and anxieties and beliefs and keep opening to the new. But you're doing that with by the use of your higher mind. And that's the point when we can go up into this higher part of our mind, this other part of my what I call the monkey mind, which is the limbic system, which is the paleo-mammalian cortex. And that's what we used, 500,000 years ago and more. And every mammal uses it because you underneath you have your reptilian brain, and on top of that, now you have your mammalian brain. The mammalian brain can learn in a way that simpler brains can't, but it's very primitive. It's like a monkey or a dog or a guinea pig or something like that. Yeah, there's a certain amount, but we have this higher mind,
Mhm.
neocortex, and the higher part of the higher mind, the prefrontal cortex, which is the brain's brain. And that's the place where we get to direct our awareness. And my basic theory that I had that led me in to develop the field of mind body medicine was what I called it selective awareness. It's it's selective awareness is the inner process that underlies what people now call mindfulness.
Mhm.
As it's like I can say to you, think of a pencil, think of a helicopter, think of an orange, think of the Empire State Building, think of the feeling on the sole of your left foot, and taste the taste that's in your mouth. You can do all of those like that. I say, do them all at the same time. Beep. You can't.
Right.
So we've got this magnificent brain with enormous selectivity, but a very small capacity.
Mhm.
See? And and that and now on the other hand, we have the things that we can do physically, like you can open and close your hand or touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth. You can close your eyes and open your eyes. Great. But now if I say speed your heart up by 20 beats without moving your body, or cause saliva to flow in your mouth, or all of these kinds, which you cannot do because they're not under voluntary control. Those are under the control of the monkey mind, of the paleo-mammalian mind, the limbic system, the unconscious mind, all words for the same thing. But now, if I tell you to imagine you have a ripe lemon, beautiful lemon, and you cut it and you look at the cut surfaces where you cut one of the seeds in half, and then you take this lemon and you bring it up and you smell it and you imagine doing that. Now imagine yourself sinking your teeth into that lemon and sucking that sour lemon juice into your mouth and feel it around the corners of your tongue. And now you're salivating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what this is saying is that by creating the imagery, then you can influence the unconscious part of the mind. Um, And then I started teaching down at Esalen Institute in the beginning of 1970. And that's when I was exposed to Buddhism and Hinduism and peyote tea and um, what else? Cannabis and all the kinds of things that people were experimenting with at that time, and saw all of these are different ways of altering the state of consciousness. And each of the religions, most of the religions, have the same basic rules. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Respect your parents. Don't steal. Well, But everyone dresses them in certain costumes because then they can market them
Mhm.
that way. But most of them are the same. And some religions are very good at teaching some things, and other religions are really good at teaching others. So I studied all of the religions and learned the kinds of healing, whether it's healing the body, the mind, the emotions, or spiritual connections, and put them together as the medicine of mind, body, and emotion and spirit broken down into mind, body medicine. And the paradigm shift is, and even now, right now, so I wrote my first book in 1973. And right now, the things from that book, like mindfulness and relaxation, imagery, and so forth, are just creeping into the medical schools now in the 90s. And before that began, yeah, I've been moving light years beyond that, but it's a really good start. The fact that we've moved so slowly is, I think, why the world's falling apart in the way that it is now. And I'm eager to finish the work that I came here to do. And the paradigm shift is that one way to treat the world is in the Cartesian way of looking at the world. You take something, you want to understand it, you cut it in half and um, examine the pieces, and you cut those pieces and get smaller and smaller and smaller. So you learn by taking things apart,
Mm.
which works very well for certain things, in physics and in geology and so forth. For sure, it works that way. But when you're talking about a living system, it's not the way to do it. The old story of the goose who laid the golden egg. Oh, we'll just cut the goose open and find out where. No, that's not how you do it. You need a live and living goose in order to be able to do that. So instead of trying to find the drug that's going to do this to somebody or the surgery that's going to do something, our goal here is to allow people to put the monkey mind at rest, because the main thing the monkey does is tell you when something's about to kill you. Because in the world that we lived in, the stresses that we have were floods and landslides and snakes and saber-toothed tigers. I mean, you didn't run into those every day, maybe once every week or two. And when you did, it was a physical challenge. And so your limbic system through your amygdala um, dumps these stress chemicals, we call them stress chemicals, cortisol and epinephrine into your body, and that prepares you for fight or flight. And so you've got 5 seconds to either escape from the lion and kill it. If you don't, then it's over for you. If you do get away, within the next minute or two, you rest because it's over. You won. You climbed the tree or you killed the tiger. You don't run back to work. You take a break. And the tension of stress is where you have these toxic chemicals in your body where you're basically dissolving the organs of your body in order to save your life over the next 5 minutes. And then there's the relaxed phase. Just like you're awake all day, you relax at night and that restores you. Stop sleeping, you're going to kill yourself. The heart constricts and then it relaxes. You breathe in and then you let go. There's a diurnal cycle. The body runs on cycles. And the stress cycle is being very stressed, and then within a few minutes, you relax yourself, and everything goes back to normal, and you stay healthy. And the world that we live in now and that we've lived in more and more since civilization has been upon us, the stressors in our life are social stressors. You've gotta buy this. Oh, you're voting for the wrong person. You need to pay your mortgage, but you're not sure how you're going to pay your mortgage. And the phone is ringing, and each of these things is a challenge, something that you have to deal with. But each time something comes into your life that you have to deal with, this unconscious part of your mind starts dumping these chemicals, toxic chemicals into your system, and you never relax. And so you continue to run at this high level of stress. It shortens your telomeres and shortens your life. It shortens your telomeres and it turns off your immune system or makes it become overactive. It keeps your emotions in a tense place. It produces a defensive state of mind so that you're not open to new ideas. It's what our political problem is right now. People don't know how to be open. You fight with your wife or husband. You got married because you love this person. And now, all of a sudden, because this and this and this and this went wrong, you don't love them anymore. Well, now, wait a minute. Either you didn't love them or you're cementing yourself into a corner. And sure, you can treat that other person uh, with enough contempt that they won't want to be around you anymore. In fact, the mention of your name will cause their stress system to go into overload and they don't want any more. There we are. So the new paradigm is instead of going into the either or, good or bad, right or wrong, black or white, you look at this and this. You step back and see the whole picture. It's like the story of the two girls that are fighting over an orange, and the father says, "You don't have to fight over the orange. We'll cut it in half. Each of you has a half." Well, that was nice. And the girls were, oh, they're pretty satisfied. And the mother says, "Wait a minute, what do you want the orange for?" And one girl says, "Oh, I wanted the flesh of the orange to make fruit salad." She asked the other, "What did you want it for?" She said, "I wanted the rind to make marmalade." So we divided it differently.
Yeah.
And that's the way the world is, to look at things to where you combine things together. When you look at the wholeness, it's not black or white. There is no black or white. There's all shades of gray, and each one has its place. And so this is what we do when we see a person in mind body medicine. We look at the whole person. We don't try to divide them into pieces because a person can come with an ulcer, and you look and well, they're bleeding from the mouth. Well, it's an ulcer, so we can operate on the ulcer. But wait, wait, wait. How come they have the ulcer? Because they're drinking too much. Okay, and taking aspirin. Okay, so the aspirin's causing the ulcer. Why are you drinking so much that you get the headaches? That means you have to take the aspirin. Well, I'm drinking so much because I feel terrible. Why do you feel terrible? Says, well, I cheated my brother one time and it led to his having to have his leg amputated, and I feel deeply guilty about it. Huh, okay. Let's take a look at how you cheated your brother and why you did it and what was influencing yourself at that time, and for you to heal what needed to be healed in the first place so that now you don't have to beat up yourself anymore, and you can go and talk to your brother and work it out or whatever needs to do. And that's basically it. That most of our illnesses, most of our diseases are the result of the very, very sick world that we've grown up in and the things that we've learned about life, the algorithms that we've created in ourselves that have us constantly reacting in ways that are against basic spirituality. It's against that higher part of your mind that otherwise can bring you to healing. The first, the most important thing of all is to quiet the monkey mind, because as long as it is pumping chemicals into your system that keep you tense, and this is the one really big secret, that when you are in anger, when you're in fear, when you're in anxiety, where you're in resentment, whether you're in suspicion, all of those negative emotions are all emergency emotions. And whenever you're in an emergency system, then what your nervous system does is it shuts off your prefrontal cortex. It takes away your higher thinking because you've got to save yourself in 3 seconds. You can't say, oh, saber-toothed tiger's attacking me. Oh my God, saber-toothed tigers have blue eyes? I
No,
never thought
not at all.
tigers had blue eyes. And the eyelashes on, oh, that is so beautiful. If I live through this, I think I want to paint. No, I want to sculpt. You can't do that. You just have to kill the tiger or run the hell away. That's what's going on. So we're constantly making the wrong decisions. Those, take a look at all the biggest and worst decisions you've made in your life. You made those decisions because you were operating under a stressful condition, whether you knew it or not. You were
I'm
being.
wondering, Dr. Miller, because
Mhm.
you have so much experience and expertise. And for people who are like, well, the world is really stressful. And yeah, that this living a healthy life maybe doesn't feel possible for me because it's so stressful. Can you speak to what is possible when you do start to engage in this present moment mindfulness and use the guided imagery and the tools that are available to access our healthy states and our best self?
Yeah, stress is not something that happens to us.
Mm.
Stress is how we are reacting to what we think is going on in the world. It's like all the people who are really in terrible shape last week because we're going to put these tariffs on Mexico and Canada, and how ridiculous that we would be doing that to our friends. And they thought about it and they got drunk and they worried about it. And then the next day, our president says, yeah, but we're not going to do it maybe for another 2 months. What about all the pain you felt yesterday, all that stress? That was because of how you reacted to what's going on.
Mm.
I look at that situation and say, something doesn't feel right about that. If that really is what happens, that probably is going to create some problems. Um, if I could do it differently, I would do it differently. But right now, I have no power to do anything about that. And so, in order for me to go into a great deal of fear or a great deal of anger is illogical.
Yeah.
And those feelings lead to you making exactly the wrong decisions
Mm.
because they make you make defensive decisions rather than creative decisions. Creative decisions are what works. So I work with couples, I work with organizations, I work with teams, with individuals. It's all exactly the same thing. And what can you do? You can say, I don't care what's about to happen tomorrow. I don't care what happened yesterday. The fact is that right now you're in a safe place. There's no other place that you need to go. There's nothing else that you need to be doing. And therefore, you have the power to cause your body and your mind to react, to call on positive images. And as you go into that relaxed place, your chemistry in your body changes around. You metabolize the stress chemicals and you open up the possibility of using your higher mind to come up with a strategy that's going to work for you in the future. Oh, and if you did that, if you did that a couple of times a day or maybe once an hour for a minute or two, that empties the stress out of your body. And then you say, how much anxiety do I want to go back into? Well, today, let me say, I want to be level 10 anxiety. Today, oh, I know, I want to feel really outraged today. I'm going to feel overwhelmed today. Are you going to make that decision? No. Now you can make another decision. The decision you can make, you can create in your mind and make that decision now. And that decision will hold for the next day or two or three until you come and reinforce it. Yeah, this is the way I want to do things.
Beautiful.
I think that's
Are
it.
you willing to guide us through an exercise now that gets people to that state?
Sure, it'd be fun.
Great.
Let's do that. So, kind of let yourself, everyone, just be in a relaxed position, lying down or sitting back, becoming aware of the fact that at this moment in time, as I said, at this moment in time, there's no other place that you need to go. There's nothing else that you need to do. And there's no problem that you need to solve. And therefore you can allow yourself to relax fully and completely in this moment. And take a deep breath in as you let it out. Let it be a feeling of releasing and letting go. Become aware of where you're located in space and time. Be aware of the fact that at this moment you're completely safe. Think to yourself, there's no other place I have to go. There's nothing that I have to do. There's no emergency. And there's no problem I have to solve. And therefore, right now, I can give myself permission to be completely present. And give yourself permission to relax. Simply be aware of the rising and falling of your chest with each breath in and out. And be aware that as your mind and your body relax into this present moment, all necessary thoughts, all unnecessary thoughts of the past will float away. Because the past does not exist. Think about it. Not even a single second of the past can ever happen again. And as you rest quietly in this present moment, you can let all thoughts about the future float away, because they don't exist either and never have. Simply allowing yourself to feel the surface beneath your body as it releases all unnecessary tension. With each breath out, breathing out tension and stress. And with each breath in, breathing in a feeling of peace that's here in this present moment. Good. Now, take another deep breath in, and as you let it out, feel that feeling of letting go completely. And as you breathe out, think to yourself the words, "It breathes me. It breathes me." And let yourself sink deeply down into that pause after you've breathed out and before the next breath begins itself. This is the quietest time of all for all your mind and body, when wise teachers tell us that we're closest to the spirit. Feel the silence in this pause. Good. Now take another deep breath in, and as you let this breath out, let yourself sink down into that pause, and doing nothing, Become aware of that little spark of energy that automatically begins your next breath in. And let yourself know that this is the life force within you, bringing you energy, renewing your life with each breath, like a tiny golden river of golden light flowing into your lungs, into your heart. And as you breathe out, feel that golden light spirit travel from your heart throughout all the vessels of your body, carrying love and light and beauty up into your neck, into your head, and down through your shoulders and arms, through your chest and your belly and your legs, all the way down to the tips of your toes. And if you haven't closed your eyelids yet, let them close now, and let your eyes gently roll upward behind your closed eyelids, as if you're looking upward toward the back of your forehead, looking directly into your prefrontal cortex, your brain's brain. And imagine that there you can see the word relax, or hear the word relax, or know the word relax there. And as you feel your eyelids becoming more and more relaxed all the way to the point they feel heavy and don't want to open at all, nothing outside you need to see, then gently test your eyelids and feel how relaxed they've become. They don't want to budge at all. And as you gently test them, imagine you can feel little ripples of relaxation flowing outward from your eyelids, like ripples flowing outward from a stone thrown into the still, quiet surface of a peaceful mountain pond. Ripples of relaxation flowing through all the muscles of your face. Your jaw muscles relax, and your upper and lower teeth drift apart a little bit. Feel the relaxation as it flows down your arms and into your hands, that tingling at the tips of your fingers, or the warmth of pulsation that lets you know the relaxation has reached there. Then take a deep breath in, and as you do, breathe that relaxation up through your fingers and arms and your chest. And feel the relaxation in your chest, flowing out through your arms and hands, flowing down through your abdomen and through your back, flowing through your pelvis, through your thighs, your knees and your legs, and your ankles and your feet, all the way down to the tips of your toes. Good. And anytime any unnecessary thoughts come along, imagine those unnecessary thoughts are like words written on a blackboard in your mind's eye. And then remember the relaxation in your eyelids, and as you gently test your eyelids, imagine you're drawing a wet eraser across your mental blackboard, erasing that unnecessary thought and sending another wave of relaxation from your eyelids, flowing out through every cell of your body, right out through the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. Good. And imagine your body growing lighter and lighter, as though each breath lets you float up as if you're floating on a cloud or floating on a magic carpet, beautifully floating through rainbow colors, floating through time and space. And allow yourself to travel to a very beautiful and relaxing place. Maybe some place you've been before or always wanted to go. Maybe a special place of comfort, a place that's sacred to you. Or if you let yourself You can invent a place where you can feel the spirit of nature around you, perhaps outdoors on a beautiful day. And if so, you can see the colors of the trees, the flowers, the sky. Picture your special place now and let yourself float into it and allow yourself to be there. See the shapes around you, the movement, the colors. Hear the sounds in the air. Smell the fragrances. Feel the surface beneath you and the texture of anything that you might touch. Good. Feel the peace. And feel that joyful feeling inside that starts each new breath in. And in this place of relaxation, you can choose to be in touch with the highest levels of your awareness, the highest levels of your intellect, your ability to intentionally guide your mind, where you can choose to be in touch with that deep reservoir of personal and global wisdom within you, where you can choose to mindfully select the future that you want. Here, you can open yourself to spiritual guidance from an even higher level. Now, and allow yourself to become aware of a time in the past when you felt closeness to a higher spirit, to a higher power. Maybe it was a time when you found yourself being skillfully guided, or when there was a communication, or even words spoken to you by a pure, loving, divine being, beyond all words. A time when you had a spiritual experience, or an awareness of that spirit that moves through all things. Drift back to that moment as much as you can. Allow it. Know it is within you and feel that feeling, feel that knowledge, feel that wisdom, and feel that connection to your guiding spirit, whatever you might call it, and sense that passageway that you are now willing to open, willing to listen, to understand, and to see. At peace, however you experience your spirit or connection to a higher power. Good. And allow yourself to feel the gratitude, the deep gratitude for all the gifts received, your life. Grateful for the loved ones that you have and have had in the future. Grateful for that compassionate self and the opportunities to give and to serve that you have received. Gratitude to your willingness to look even deeper into these blessings. And guided by this spirit and by your deep sense of purpose and meaning in your life, begin to visualize yourself becoming the person that you truly want to be at the deepest level. Picture yourself in the future. Make a picture in your mind as if you can make a videotape of the future and envision yourself maybe weeks or months into the future, as far or as near as you want to go. Picture you being your true self, looking and feeling as totally healthy and well and happy and as free as you can possibly imagine. Just for a moment, and let yourself be in a beautiful, supportive place, doing something you really, really enjoy doing. And imagine that by living according to your deeper values and your highest teachings, that you have created this person, and that you are absolutely free to sense and feel that power within whenever you choose to stop. Come into the present moment. Feel that spark that begins each new breath, and sense the golden light flowing through your being. Allow yourself to let go of anything you no longer need from the past, of releasing emergency emotions, anger and fear, anxiety, rage, resentment, suspicion, guilt, shame, all of those which have simply been tools to control you by those in your world who wanted to control you, either for good or not for good. You let those go. Be in touch with your higher self. Picture yourself stepping into this future image of you, and feel what it feels to be this person just for right now. Feel the loving awareness in your heart, the source of that love within you that you freely share with others, giving yourself permission to feel compassion and love for yourself, for the child part within. And know that every time you allow yourself to go deeply within and experience this future self, you become more and more this person, because this is the person that you truly are deep inside. And as you let go of all the false selves, you become this person. And remember, the future is not a place you're going to. The future is a place that you are creating. And you're creating it with every thought, with every word, with every action. Good. So for now, make a commitment to yourself, if you wish, of how you wish to go forth from this moment over the next few minutes, next few hours, next few days, as much of a commitment as you're willing to make. Decide what you want to bring with you as you return back to the place where your body is resting, feeling peaceful and calm. Bring back the feeling of comfort with you, the feeling of being in touch with something deep within. And take a deep breath in. Now, as you let it out, let your eyelids slowly begin to open. And let your vision be soft. You don't have to focus on anything. Just enjoy the colors. How beautiful, how wonderful. And as you gradually allow your body to move, to stretch a little bit here and there, maybe a couple of deep breaths to increase your energy a little bit and allow yourself to be wide awake. Notice how comfortable you feel. Good. So that's basic lesson one.
Wow. Wow. What an experience
Isn't that
for
incredible?
myself and everyone tuning in.
Uh-huh.
How can audience members continue on with lesson two or with more of these types of meditations you have?
Ah, well, I have a number of free gifts that are set aside,
Mhm.
and the first gift will be a free guided imagery meditation, basically the one you've just been through,
Mhm.
except I'll do it in the studio and put some nice music to it. So you'll be able to download that. And secondly, special gift to the first, I don't know, 10 or 20 people who call my office and who are interested in coaching, exploring life coaching, mentoring, or therapy with me, an opportunity to explore incorporating spirituality into their lives, their work, or their relationships. They will receive a 15-minute exploratory session with me at no cost. A third gift will be a free 6-month subscription to my Healing Times news that comes out every month or two whenever the spirit moves me. And of course, I'll recommend a number of other programs that I think would be especially useful to your audience. And of course, they'll always be able to go to drmiller.com, drmiller.com, and see the 200 or so programs that I've produced, as well as an introduction to me and my work, and a lot of good things.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. What generous gifts, and thank you for really pioneering this field and continuing to go deeper with your work and share it with so many people. I'm really grateful for you to be part of Awaken and grateful in general for the positive energy you're putting out. Thank you.
And thank you. I deeply appreciate what you're doing, and I feel like I've known you for years and years. Take care. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for tuning in to this amazing interview as part of our Awaken series. I hope you found value. Check out the rest of the interviews on Awaken. Keep tuning in and please subscribe to Paradigm Expansions to stay in touch, where we are doing more events like this. And we are all about dropping in to your heart, to your true self, to really, truly love your life. Thank you for joining. See you on the next video.